Hey guys, I'm gonna start without Isaac. Kind of just warm things up. I'm sure he'll jump here in a little bit. I knew it. I knew I shouldn't have done it. I knew it, but I did it anyways, and I started early. Isaac, and now he's jumping on. I fucking knew it.
He's here.
He's he's here. I was like, I'll just warm the shit up and get everybody.
Hey, how's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah.
Where you from?
That's funny.
Cleveland. Holy
Cleveland, holy shit. Fuck Cleveland.
crap.
That's funny. You all set up?
I'm all set. I'm ready to rock. You can hear me. I can hear you.
Hold on. Let me do something with your camera.
Wait, what?
There you go. I fixed it for you.
So, okay. All right. I went to the video settings and it said mirror on, and I turned it off.
Oh, it was. It doesn't matter.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind. It was off. Oh, I'm too retarded for the real world.
So, how was camping celebration day?
Camping celebration day, celebrating those who died for our sins by drinking White Claws in a river. It was pretty awesome.
White people awesome.
So, I don't remember who. Oh yeah, I think it was a BLM officer comes into the camp and he's talking to us, and then he's leaving, and I'm like, "Happy Memorial Day." Like, what? Why did I say that? Yeah. People don't say Happy Memorial Day.
They don't?
I don't think so.
No.
No, they say have a good Memorial Day, I guess.
Oh.
So,
because I guess the people died.
it's not Christmas. Well,
Not
that's somebody
Christmas.
died too, I guess.
Yeah.
No. Wait, that's Easter. Happy Easter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Happy hang your favorite guy on a cross day.
On a cross day. he did. He didn't comply with the government's authority.
Yep.
Therefore, we killed him day.
Also, never complained.
Well, a little.
Did he?
He did a little. He's like, tables, fuck the tables, the tax man.
Yeah.
Did he complain about that?
He threw a rage fit at the market. Yeah. So if you're joining us, please, the giveaway, the rifle giveaway is wrapping up this weekend. The website's on the screen, gunsforeveryone.com/legal-fund. We are giving away a Vepper in 7.62 by 54R, and it's a honey of a rifle. If anybody knows that reference.
Honey.
It's a little honey, and it comes with ammo. And if you go there, tickets are $5. $5 for the price of a Whopper Junior meal. You could have 15 chances to win. I saw Wendy's advertising the Bob's Big Bacon Cheeseburger or something like that. It's only $4 for the cheeseburger.
Oh, only $4.
Only $4.
Yeah.
So, hey, Tad, what's happening?
Tad.
Gun websites here early on, right away.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Did you check out the title? Because both Isaac and I are old. And last night I was like, "Hey, are we fucking podcasting?" Like I didn't even know. Did we agree? Did we not agree? Is it the week? Is it not the week? We wonder why we're not successful.
I can't even keep track of our own shit. Yeah. So capitalism, is it killing the Second Amendment?
Is it killing the Second Amendment? I want to talk about that. I don't know if you have any other topics that you want to talk about.
I got a couple things.
Fuck yeah. Which one do we start with?
Let's start with yours.
Yeah, but maybe. Let's start with yours.
Okay, let's start with mine.
It's the title topic, so we got to hook them and fucking make them stay.
Oh, okay. All right. I see.
Yours might be better.
Little showmanship. Well, I kind of dug up a video that's been around, but it hasn't been circulating lately, and it's got some reinforcement of the things that we've talked about. Actually, I have two videos, so let me go ahead and
share them.
Share the screen.
Share the
Bam.
screen.
Bam. Wanker, man. Okay. Some people may have seen this video. Have you seen this video?
Yes.
Okay. So we have 4 people in the I don't know, Brazilian version of a Apple store. I don't think this happened in the US.
Not the US.
Yeah. And let's let it play through here. Everybody's chill. This is part of the 3 criteria for the dynamic critical incident. What would this one be?
Yeah, I
Pop
don't know.
quiz. Pop quiz, motherfucker.
Pop quiz, motherfucker.
Look at the demeanor of our 4 heroes here.
Okay.
What are they doing?
They're just, well, the 2 chicks are checking TikTok because there's probably,
yeah.
I probably DM'd them and they're like, look, it's
They're
Edgar.
like, block. Like, how many accounts does this dude have? Block. Well, you're wrong, because what they're doing is thinking through the shooting stage that's coming up. So they're choreographing their moves and they are ready to fight, as is totally obvious by their body language.
Obviously.
So, sarcasm here. This is the surprising element. These people have no idea what's about to happen. Now, this guy right here is paying attention, and his vision is oriented towards the door.
So he kind of already entered into the startle.
Kind of, but like he's not shown any outward signs of it.
Yeah.
He's looking in the direction where the new information is coming from.
Correct.
Which would be the doorway. And our bad guy is doing the whole, I think I'm going to rob you body movements.
And he has the helmet on.
So now this guy starts his draw. And of course, there's a timer and his hands are in the surrender position. And oh, no, that's not true. He's in a chair and he has to reach under the table to access his gun. So now where is the attention of all of our people? They're all looking at this guy, but they're still in a very relaxed posture, which means they have no idea what's about to happen.
Surprise, bitches.
Okay, so he pulls a gun out here, and our guy here is going to fuck with his gun a little bit. Like, what is this right here? What's he doing?
Taking the safety off, maybe?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to tell exactly where his thumb is.
Yeah.
But he definitely fucks with the gun. All right, so he's fired here. The sound is a little delayed. I don't even know if the sound is coming through. Doesn't matter. But as soon as he fires and the unexpected stimulus happens, watch our 3 other people. Boom.
They go into the startle.
Go into the startle response. And this guy he stays in the startle response because his shoulders are up, his hands are up, his head is pushed slightly forward, and this chick is moving to a position of advantage.
I thought she was going to draw the one that's by the shooty guy. I thought it looked like she was about to go draw.
She is peeing her pants, probably. No, she's pretty slow with her movement here.
Yeah.
And this guy stays kind of in this posture.
Defensive
posture.
Yeah.
So
it doesn't look like he went into auditory exclusion.
No, he's plugging his ears.
Yeah.
So
the obviously the only thing is you could tell not much training. Mm-hmm. This is where it's tough all the fucking time, man. This is so tough. Because as soon as he's done shooting, this is probably my only criticism, and I'm nitpicking at this point, is once he's done, he just relaxes. Right?
Relaxed. Stage over.
Not ready to fight again.
So
if another guy came in right now, he'd be fucked.
Right. Let's watch him shooting.
Full extension on the arms.
Full extension. Stop shooting when the
bad guy stops.
When the bad guy gives plenty of information that he's probably not a threat. I run into this question sometimes when people in the class, when we talk about shooting until the threatening behavior has stopped, and they say, what if? Like, it's possible that this guy could continue to shoot if he maintained the gun in his hand as he fell. But most of the indicators that this guy is getting are that he's done fighting.
Yeah.
So you don't know for certain, but you're not really going to know for certain in many cases. So everybody hears this right now. Beep. So with his gun put away, he goes to check on this guy. Probably would say, gun in the ready position.
You need help?
Probably. But I mean, we're not seeing and hearing what he's seeing and hearing. So like if you know what agonal breathing sounds like, it's possible that this guy is
kind of sounds a little bit like that, huh?
Yeah.
Towards the end.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to hear, but could very well be.
So he now shot timer. Watch, go back a little bit. She said, go back just a tad bit. Watch.
Yep.
Shoot timer.
Shoot timer. He's like, what? He turns around like, what are you talking about? So now he's going out. Okay, he's drawn his gun again. Yeah, he drew his gun. Maybe right here.
I wonder if now he's in movie mode.
He's doing John Wick. Oh yeah, he went down into the
choreograph. Now he's doing choreograph shit.
Yeah.
It's interesting because now he's going into choreograph shit.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So anyway, the biggest thing I wanted to point out was that startle response and then the next action that each of these people took. Both the ladies basically tried to create a little distance and a little barrier between them and the direction of what they believed to be the threat.
Correct.
And this guy didn't. He just stood there. So
that's crazy.
And that's that. Like most likely, we'd say probably that's a natural response. All three of them are in a natural response.
Yeah.
But not necessarily an effective response.
Yeah, because I mean, we see evidence of this all the fucking time, where it just in all kinds of situations where what is a natural response, we may not see it from the outside looking in, see it as an effective thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the brain has a reason why it does this.
The brain's doing it for a reason.
Yeah. I think the one that we're most critical of as adults, at least from my perspective, is rape victims that live with the offender. And they're just like, why didn't you just leave? And why didn't you just do this? And for a lot of them, it's just like, well, if I left, I probably would have died. So I had to calculate how to leave. I was just watching a story of the serial kidnapper, early 2000s. This girl, the dude dropped her off at a shed somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere, tied her up, said, if you try and leave, kill you, all that stuff. And then she was able to wiggle herself out. And every time he would leave, she would leave and write a journal, take pictures, and she like kind of leave some sort of evidence that it happened in case she died or whatever. But then as soon as she heard him, she would tie herself back up and pretend like she was tied up. She knew she was going to get raped every fucking night. But in her brain, it's just like, I just got to deal with this. To like everybody else is like, fuck, just leave, just take off. But for her, this is the best way I can see my family again, is take my time and calculate this. So yeah, like appropriate body's natural reactions that we don't understand why the fuck it happened, but it happened.
Yeah, and this guy, his perception of what was going on might not have included that he saw anywhere to go.
Yeah.
And so maybe his best response in the moment was just
Don't go
kind of like
deaf.
stand still and don't move.
Don't go deaf.
Like, for the moment, I'm absolutely safe in this spot at the moment.
At the
So let me
moment.
just plug my ears and
And
pray.
stand here.
It's a
Just
complex response, people distill it down into the, fight, flight, or freeze, or they're like there's a bunch of different. It's not just fight or flight, or freeze, but it's outwardly it looks pretty simple.
I
I
always
think.
argue that there is no freeze. I think we have enough evidence to know that it's not freeze. It's just your brain doesn't know what to do,
Hmm.
which because it's not a literal freeze. It's not like I'm frozen. It's more of my brain is trying to process the information. So in order to not fuck it up, your body just kind of again, it seems like it's frozen. You're just trying to figure out what the fuck to do.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things where the language could
Yeah,
very well matter,
yeah,
because if you say freeze, that could imply that you can't do anything or you're not doing anything when in
correct,
fact you are doing something.
correct,
Uh, it's just not explosive movement.
correct.
It's not necessarily effective. Because a lot of people have experienced where something unexpected happens and you are trying to process information, but you're discoordinated, I guess,
Yeah.
when it comes to it. Um, so yeah, it's complex, and people. I think the problem with oversimplifying it is people say, "Well, you'll do this, this, or this." It's like that's not really what you're doing. You're not just freezing. You're not
Correct.
just flying or running. I saw a video earlier of a cop getting into a shootout, and he ran, and you could tell he was trying to find a position of relative safety, and he couldn't find it. He just kept pursuing it and realizing it wasn't a position of safety, and then kept going. So he's not just running. He is trying to get to a place where he has some cover from. So he's evaluating the position, he's evaluating the angles, he's evaluating the speed, the relative danger. Like he's doing all kinds of stuff while he's
And
running.
that's why you don't look for cover or concealment. You look for a position of advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
So,
that's I see that often where people in combat, or whether it be cops, trained in air quotes, trained individuals who get in those circumstances where they're looking for a cover or concealment because that's just what you're taught. And it's just like,
mhm.
no, sometimes you don't have cover and concealment. So you go for a position of advantage. But their brain is like, oh, you said cover and concealment. So that's what we're looking for,
Mhm.
except no less. And
Except no
then
less. I have another video. It kind of touches briefly on what we talked about last podcast about drawing on a drawn gun.
drawing on a drawn gun.
So we have a robbery going on here. We have this dude who doesn't seem to be at all concerned about being robbed.
You gonna share it? You gonna share it?
Oh, am I? Oh, yeah, yeah. Shoot. My bad. Let's do this again. Okay. Must be this one. Yeah. Okay. You see, I know you've seen this one.
Yeah.
All right. So our guy here in the blue shirt, chilling. Woman kind of in a defensive posture, left shoulder up, head down. And if we go back, I think that's a response to seeing the gun pointed at her.
Correct.
Let me
Anticipating the shot.
anticipating. Yeah, the video doesn't start soon enough, so we don't know when she saw it.
Correct.
So, guy's got the gun out. This guy in the black sweatshirt draws his gun and gets. So we talked about this. There's luck. There's decision making on the bad guy's part. There's all kinds of things that, even if it's a bad idea, occasionally it still works. But this is an example of it was a bad idea, and initially it looked like it worked, but it didn't. So the guy in the black sweatshirt draws and gets the first shot off. So he beat the guy to the shot.
Yeah.
But then, let me slow this down because it happens really fast. That guy.
Oh, he took a shot too, huh?
Yeah, dude, they're playing space lasers with each other. Look at this. It's crazy. So he is orienting the muzzle towards the direction of the threat, because to him, that's a threat. Because he's not looking. He's just pointing in that direction. And he gets a shot off. And our dude in the black sweatshirt gets hit. And then now he's doing some point shooting. His head is down. He's shooting blindly over his own shoulder.
Oh shit, he is, huh?
Yeah.
Recklessly pointing.
Yeah. So, he ends up dying, if I recall correctly. And if you watch the rest of the clip, it's pretty obvious that he is in bad shape.
Our shooty guy.
Our guy in the black sweatshirt.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, now, there's always the question of, like, maybe this person next to him, he's like, I will die for this person, so I don't care. I don't care what happens to me. I'm going to protect her.
Yeah.
But realistically, she was in as much danger as he was, because our bad guy's shooting wildly in this direction. And so he decides he's going to have a gunfight with this person between him and her. So I'm not saying what he should have done, but even though it looks like initially he wins the draw, he ultimately doesn't win the draw.
So he won the battle.
Yeah. And that's another thing, is just handguns are inherently pretty weak, and you can win the draw and get 2 or 3 rounds in the bad guy and still not win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people, and regardless of caliber, people forget that when you're talking about momentum, when you're talking about kinetic energy, when you're talking about potential energy, compared to the mass of a human, it's pretty fucking small.
Right.
Like it's not pretty awesome. It's pretty fucking weak. Because it's still a pretty small projectile. Like it would have to be coming. The only thing that helps rifles is that it's coming really fucking fast.
Right.
It's the only thing that helps rifles. It's coming really fucking fast, and that's kinetic energy, right? Half mass times velocity squared. Mass doesn't matter as much in the object as much as velocity, but handguns are traveling, comparatively speaking, pretty fucking slow. Yeah, it's bonkers.
So this guy's options here were very limited because he let his woman sit on the outside. So he can't get up. And this guy, he could get up, but I think he was kind of in this his own position of like, maybe I shouldn't draw on this guy. It looks like he's carrying small at the back. The guy in the blue here.
Yeah, because he does draw a gun, huh?
He's about maybe 4 o'clock.
This is why you don't carry in dumb positions.
Yeah. So anyway, since we were talking about it last week,
yeah,
I thought I'd bring it up.
Fuck yeah.
The thing is like, luck is a factor, but luck goes both ways, good and bad. And instead of the word luck, I kind of prefer the word chaos, even though luck is like a shorthand, but chaos is more, you don't know who it's going to benefit and who it's not going to benefit. And it's part of the self-defense or the dynamic critical incident definition. It's chaotic. You don't know what's going to happen next. And we assume, a lot of people assume that the handgun is the fight ender, and it's really just part of the fight.
Yeah. There's a lot of studies in math about chaos and how in the chaos order is kind of restored.
Mhm.
So fucking weird. That's why we spin in the universe a certain direction, and this is why we're in a plane and not fucking all over the place. It's because there was chaos at first, and the universe is so. I mean, outside of celestial beings and shit like that, whatever it is you guys believe in, because of the chaos, it got rid of all of the chaos. The chaos got rid of the chaos, um, and made it awesome. It's fucking weird.
It is weird. I don't have the video. I wish I did, but there's a video that came out of this Ukrainian soldier shooting a drone at almost point blank range with a shotgun, a double barrel shotgun of all things.
A fucking breech
And
loaded with
and the drone blows up, and you could see that there's like a post right next to the guy, and a chunk gets taken out of that post by the shrapnel from the
Jesus.
explosive. I mean, so a piece of shrapnel just went right next to his head and hit this post. And the first thing he does after he shoots this drone is giggle.
Oh, those nerves kick in.
Oh, and it was a double barrel shotgun, and he hit the drone on the second shot.
Jesus. Talk about luck.
Yeah.
Talk about
Uh,
luck.
Tad said
Fucking
spine shot. I'm guessing on that first video.
on that first
spine
one,
shot.
yeah.
Yeah. So Joseph said, "What guns will be banned in Colorado next year?" All of them.
All of
Yes.
them.
I
Basically all of them.
Yeah, I haven't spent much time with that legislation since it became obvious that it was going to pass. So I need to go review it again. But it's bad. It's real bad. Actually, isn't the answer technically none?
Technically none. So
Yeah.
the answer is because they're giving you a way to get the permit to purchase. So technically none.
Mhm.
But there is already signs, and I don't know how true the rumors are because you know how the internet works. But there is a few people who I wouldn't say would lie, but I wouldn't trust them fully. And there's been plenty of people who say that there's distributors who are already not shipping to the state of Colorado.
We've already had that problem even before this bill.
Even before, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially in Denver. PSA is notorious for not shipping to Denver. If you buy and you have a Denver address, we encountered that a lot. When we had the FFLs, PSA won't do it. So they had to ship it somewhere else. Get that shit a lot. So yeah. But yeah, you're right. The technical thing would be none.
Yeah. When I
but
got
all at the
my
same time.
second AR, I got it at the Sportsman's Warehouse in Westminster, which is in Adams County. And when I gave them my Denver driver's license, they refused to give me the magazine. This was before 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
They said that
because Denver has always had a
they had no problem giving me the gun. They just wouldn't give me the magazine.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So
Denver has for those that don't know, Denver has always had an assault weapons ban, which is a magazine ban. Really, it's not an assault weapons ban. It's technically a mag ban.
And I think the clerk told me that the reason they wouldn't give me the magazine is because some shooter had bought their equipment from that Sportsman's Warehouse.
Nice.
And I believe it was the guy who shot up the YWAM office and the New Life Church.
Oh, shit.
He had a Denver address, and he bought his stuff at the Sportsman's Warehouse, went to Wheat Ridge and shot some people, and went to Colorado Springs and shot some people. So,
oh, that's crazy.
But anyway, what was I going to say? I can't remember.
Probably stupid shit.
Let's
probably stupid shit.
90% of it is. You know how I know is because I go back and just watch videos of things I've said, and I'm like, yeah, that's dumb.
That's dumb. That's fucking stupid. Uh,
So, how do you think capitalism could
well,
be?
this is a thing that I've been kind of thinking about. I said I was gonna make a video last time we did a podcast, and I haven't. Part of it was just being sick, and I'm still kind of a little bit under the weather, congestion, shit like that. But um, I was thinking about it today, and I was like, yeah, today I was thinking about it today. I was like, fuck it, we'll make it part of the topic. And then I did a video that I posted up early while I was doing my walk. Um, I'm gonna try and do that more often. Is make videos as I walk. And it's this idea, and I've been toying with this thought for a while. Is this idea that is capitalism killing the Second Amendment? Are we getting to a point where now I enjoy capitalism. I like the free market. I'm a huge fan of freedom, but I think um, we should criticize things we like as the only way we understand if we fully we can defend it better that way. I think is a better way of doing it is by being self-critical of the things we enjoy so we can defend it better. But if you think about one way that we can beat most of the gun laws is if everybody would sacrifice finances, right? If everybody would say fuck SB 25003, let's shut shit down. And you imagine so every fucking gun store, fuck the excise tax, don't buy your guns here in the state of Colorado, let's shut the shit down. Let's open up in Wyoming. Let's open up a co-op in Wyoming, fucking profit share, whatever, right? Some stupid shit like that. Um, and I know this is not practical. This is just a thought. But if every fucking gun store just shut down, how that would affect the excise tax, just taxes in general, just fucking in general. But nobody's gonna do that, right? Nobody's gonna stop that. Um, if nobody's gonna stop selling shit because then that affects the way mortgages are ran and shit like that. And I think that's the point is too many people, especially here in the US, are like, nah, I would rather have money than stand on principle. A lot of sheriff's offices, in fact, not a single fucking sheriff's office has said that they're not going to abide by 25003 because at the end of the day, it affects their bottom line, right? Because
Mhm.
if you don't, this happened in 2013. Well, fuck, if you're not going to enforce the law, we're going to take your money away. We're not going to fund you anymore. So now it's a money issue. They want to get funded, and you heard every single fucking sheriff. I don't give a fuck how pro gun they were. And this is the frustrating thing. Well, you got to understand, Edgar. They need their money. Like, well, this is my point. It feels like the thing I love is killing the thing I love. Why? It's like fucking watching your parents make each other fucking miserable.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
so now it's this weird conflict of is the Second Amendment, and it's not just that. It's products. You see 6 Hour refusing because they cater to the douchery, right? Like 6 Hour caters to people who drive Toyota Tacomas and wear tack vest and uh, yeah, all of that shit. Um, the bros, they cater to the bros, and it's they will die on that fucking hill. We will not make the gun safer, even if it's for plausible deniability, even if it's
Mhm.
just for that. Even if it's just for that, we'd rather sell to our market, which is the douchery. Um, and that's fine if it was a safe gun, but it does that. We got micro guns, we got subcompact firearms. Everybody knew their shit. Like, how many students have you had who were shooting really small guns? They're like, "Oh, this gun's too snappy. Oh, I don't think I
Yeah, I
like this
had,
gun."
was doing the briefing with, the students before the last class, I think,
Uh,
and this smallish woman She's like, I brought a Sig P938. And I was like, oh
You're
man.
gonna hate it.
And then her husband, who was like 3 times her size, I was like, what'd you bring? He's like, Sig P938.
Oh shit.
Like when he took his finger off the trigger, his finger was almost past the muzzle. Yeah.
But we get subcompact firearms, and everybody knows they're fucking garbage.
Mm-hmm.
And like everybody knows they're fucking garbage. And I'm sure you'll have people in the comments or people later on Reddit. They'll be like, well. Like, no, let's be honest. Subcompact firearms in general are hot garbage, but they're easy to market because if I just tell you, well, they're going to be awesome to carry, which is not consistent with the kill principle, right? Like kill principle has proven that smaller guns are worse to carry. And the pressure equation, this is physics. This is plain old fucking physics. Physics has already proven that smaller guns for carryability and for shootability are bad, but they're easy to market because all I have to say is it's going to be more comfortable for you.
Mm-hmm.
So you sell garbage. How many guns in 2025 do we not see that still have safeties?
Mm-hmm.
Our Brazilian dudes looked like he had to do one thing before he shot the bad guy. It worked out, awesome. It worked out, but we have another video of a grocery store where it almost didn't work out. This dude pulled out his gun, fucking drew it. It still had a safety, but companies, instead of saying no, let me teach you how the gun actually works. You don't need a safety. Let me just teach you how it
Mm-hmm.
actually functions. Instead of spending time educating, they're like, fuck it. If you're gonna pay me money, I'll just fucking ship you a shittier gun.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the thought, right? That's the
So
um,
capitalism, I think, is misunderstood by a lot of people. Um, Capitalism is basically the most brutal form of natural selection in the economic space,
yeah,
and it extends past the economic space because income and resources, determine a lot of things about your life. But the dollar is a tool; it's not an end. In capitalism, the dollar is a tool; it's not an end. If you treat it like an end, you will die. You have to treat it like a tool. And the end should be long-term success.
yeah,
And if you kill your own customer base, then that's not good long-term success. That doesn't spell long-term success. So if you're chasing the dollar at the expense of your customer, you won't be around as long. You'll be around longer than anybody wants you to be around, but your goal should be to perpetuate your success across time, not to chase the momentary success. And so it's not capitalism, it's greed, I think.
yeah,
Now, capitalism plays into greedy hands really well, but so does every other system. So it's not unique in that way. I don't think you can get away from greed playing into, or any of these systems playing into greed, because it's a fundamental principle that resources gather in smaller and smaller places until chaos comes and disperses those resources across, like a star collapsing in on itself and exploding and then spawning the beginning of new celestial bodies all the way down to the cellular level. This is just the way things work. And capitalism happens to be maybe the most stable system you can build if it's allowed to do what it's supposed to do. If you get in the way of the natural process, then you get more things that should die that don't die. So
like
you
the
get
NRA.
like the NRA. When you get propped up, when you prop up these companies artificially, and this is where like something like a lawsuit for pointing out SIG's problems and getting the legal system involved, that's artificially propping up a bad product or maybe even a bad company, because now we're putting the force of the law behind it when it really should just be the market that's doing it.
Yeah.
So when people like to say, I think it's shorthand to say capitalism, but
Yeah.
I think it's better to just say greed. Um, and greed is, I think, more obvious when more people have opportunity to succeed, and you could see more people with more stuff and more resources, and you're like, well, they're just being greedy. It's like, well, you have similar opportunities to that person. You don't have the same opportunities, but you have similar opportunity. You don't have a system that's trying to keep you down. You just have your own limitations that are keeping you down. So the gun world is supposedly operating in capitalism because on the surface we all love capitalism, but it's greed that's causing people to look out for themselves and not for the principle. It's greed that's causing people to make bad choices that represent the community in, wrong or in a bad way, and those are personal moral shortcomings, I think. And it's easy to have personal moral shortcomings when the system itself is full of resources. So, like SHOT Show, can you imagine like a Stone Age version of a convention where people just are free to leave their daily life and show up at this place with, thousands of people who hauled all their shit on an airplane or in a bus and like laid it out where it could be stolen, and like SHOT Show is a pretty good example of how easy we have it. It's so easy that you can go to this anomaly in human history, this completely novel thing, and get bored. You're like, this is lame. So, like we have more than we know what to do with. And I think it's easy to lose your principles when there's nothing really pushing you to stick to them.
Yeah. No, I don't know where I'm at with this. It's still a conflict for me. And that's why I want to have this conversation. Because I mean that's 100% true, this idea of greed more than anything else. But in the gun industry, it almost seems like it's a concept, I guess. Hopefully I'm correct about this, but like the Second Amendment is more of a concept than anything else. Um, it's an idea that has flourished, and I have guns, you have guns, whatever. But like it's just a thing. It can't protect itself. It can't, like, I can decide whether or not I want to participate in the product. But when we're talking about the Second Amendment as a whole, there's so many sections of it that it seems like nobody's actually protecting the Second Amendment, because it's just an idea. Like, how do you protect an idea?
Mm-hmm.
How do you protect a concept? And you call it greed, call it capitalism. And in the US, we've never really had capitalism. I don't think we've ever, in the history of the actual constitutional US, we've never really had capitalism. We've had cronyism. I think that's what's more prevalent here in the US. But it, it's it really is, how do we make money? And if we can't make money, then it's not worth protecting. If there was no money in RMGO, if there was no money in the NRA, if there was no money in USCCA, if there was no money in all of this shit, organizations that are supposedly here to help you, they would not help you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of these organizations would help you for free, without being funded. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's this. We get to a point where it's like it's disingenuous. That's a conversation I had. Go check out the videos, just me crying and bitching about bullshit.
You
Um,
ugly crying into the camera when you're walking.
yeah. 9 miles. But even the mental health conversation, it seems like, and let's not pretend that I'm not guilty of this myself, but it seems like everybody's on a rush now. Because I remember you and I, we talked about suicide and guns fucking way early on,
Mm-hmm.
in Guns for Everyone, pretty fucking early on, and we were hesitant about even talking about it because nobody else was talking about it. I think we were the only ones that were, or maybe there was other people, but we were the only ones that like talked about it and we mentioned it, and at least I did. And now it seems like fuck, there's money to be made in suicide prevention. So now the NSSF
Well, there's
involved.
another currency besides money, which is attention.
Attention, yeah,
So even if you're not selling suicide prevention kits, you're building attention for yourself by talking about it, which then translates into
into
other
money.
resources. So
Yeah. So it seems like we're more focused on gaining a resource.
hmm
I think that is a kind of better way of looking at this, gaining a resource for my own benefit than it is I'm genuine about helping out.
hmm
Um so I had this brief discussion about how I'm very vocal about, and I encourage you guys to watch the video. But I'm going to say most of it here, but I'm pretty vocal about my yearn for the earn, um, and nobody reaches out.
hmm
Zero fucking humans. Nobody, nobody, nobody. I think I gave you a pass, because we talk often. Like I
yeah,
think if something was wrong, you would know it.
right.
Um, but everybody else, nobody reaches out. So it's just like, okay, are we serious about what we mean,
hmm
or are we just saying it on the internet just to where we're just trying to gain the resource, gain the attention,
Yeah,
gain the money, gain the thing? And
yeah,
that's at some point people are going to start to see that, especially the government, right? They're not serious about this. They just want to make more money. This is how I feel about Bloomberg. If Bloomberg was serious about negative outcomes with firearms, um, we'd be working together because that's
yeah,
the same mission we have. But he's never going to give us money so we can go educate people about guns because we know he just doesn't want guns.
right.
Like he's anti-gun, so we can't take him seriously. But at some point, we have to look back and be like, "Oh fuck, that's probably us too." They probably don't want to work with us because we don't do what we say we're going to do. We just, as long as it gets us clicks, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Um,
So, like the human being doesn't really need that much to survive.
yeah,
Doesn't need that much to quote be happy or satisfied. Um, the benefit of an unrestricted market capitalism is that we are free to try to solve the most number of problems in the most efficient way possible. What that does do though is it moves money and resources around a lot. Constantly problem solving, constantly using resources. And so you might be new to the gun world and you might have like some good ideas and you have a real passion for helping people defend themselves and to protect our rights and everything. But you find a formula that creates some success for you, and all of a sudden the formula becomes the priority
the priority, yeah.
and the pursuit of resources becomes the priority. You don't need all those resources, but you convince yourself that you need them or that you earn them or both.
Yeah,
And now you're just using man's rights to defend themselves as a tool to gain more resources.
correct.
And so when there is a real problem that, you could solve, but there's no money in it, it becomes less important to you because like, well, I can solve this later. Right now I need to get my next TikTok video out. I need to make a video about this topic, uh, etc. And I think this is like part of the reason why we don't consistently build a huge audience around social media is because it's not really our top priority. Our top priority is to effectively teach people
Yeah,
about how to use a firearm safely. And if that's the priority and that's the real goal, there's not a lot of income and resources in that.
Oh, we know.
So, um,
Oh, we know.
I see this a lot with like gun influencers is something will come out, a piece of information will come out, and everybody needs to talk about it. And everybody's saying the same goddamn thing.
Everybody.
And it's like, well,
I've
why?
made a joke out of this, like, every once in a while when I see that, I was like, "Hey, has anybody talked about this yet?"
Yeah, yeah. And but they're like, oh, I gotta get my clicks.
Yeah,
It's like there's information. The exact same information you're about to give is already out there.
it's there.
So why don't you spend your time doing something important
Correct.
and explore some new territory rather than just repeating what everybody else is repeating.
Correct.
So you can I mean like this has happened a lot with the ATF and all the things that are coming out with the ATF. It's like clockwork. Something happens in the morning, and throughout the rest of the day, all these huge channels are putting out their clickbait titles and
Correct.
their thumbnails where people are doing the whole pointing thing, and I swear to God, if you just took the transcripts of what they said and just laid them over each other, they'd mostly match up.
Chat GPT, that bitch.
So, and it's not to say that there's not good information out there. It's just there's literally too much of it,
And of the same thing.
of the same thing. Yeah.
Of the same thing. And this is the problem, right? This is where it gets stagnant. This is where we're not progressing. This is where we're not getting better. This is where we find our death because
Hmm.
I genuinely feel, and I have felt like this for quite some time. The 2A is very stagnant. I just already know every time in January, I already know, fuck, here we go. It's
Hmm.
gonna be SHOT Show, and then it's gonna be the NRA show, and then it's gonna be another small SHOT Show like event out in the South. Um and it's gonna be GOA's event, and it's gonna be ShootyCon. What is that one called?
Tacticon.
Tacticon, Circle Jerkagon.
Yeah.
Is it Tacticon? No.
Well, there is Tacticon. There's some other ones.
The one, the Gun Collective, the one they do, the GunCon. I think it's just GunCon. Uh, it's whatever. Like, and they're all the same thing, and it's
Hmm.
all the people I like. And every single fucking time, it gets to that point where it's just like, fuck, it's the same shit every year, same
Hmm.
shit every fucking year. And again, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of this. Like I'm participating in it as well. But like, is it getting to the point where it's just we have not done anything awesome? We have not innovated. We have not done anything different. We do the same shit every year because it does make money. Because it does provide resources. So, are we killing ourselves? Are we, no pun intended, shooting ourselves in the foot? Because we're so driven by just resources
Hmm.
instead of making each other better.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's a lot of people who I kind of respect who do this a lot, where it's just like you just talk shit about these people, and now because they paid you, you're gonna work with them.
Hmm.
I was like, that's not like that. I don't like to do that, right? Like we told USCCA, like your insurance is awesome, your training sucks, go fuck off. And now we're poor.
Well, really, the reason why we told them to fuck off was the marketing.
That too.
You know,
Um,
but and it was not like an angry thing. It was just like, look, this
correct.
isn't working, and
Yeah,
it's interfering with the principle. And we're here to teach,
correct.
and we're here to effectively teach, and you guys are getting in the way of that.
Yeah,
So take
that
your
yeah for sure.
yeah.
And now we're poor. Because now we work with FLP, and they don't interfere.
Hmm.
But the finances show it.
Yeah.
But the finances show it. And I and
You know,
and and I'm okay with it. Like
yeah.
I'm not like super sad about it.
I mean,
But
I don't rely on the teaching to keep me off the streets,
yeah, I do.
but I do need money to make it worth my time
Yeah,
to invest. And even that being true, I I don't push FLP in environments where it is going to get in the way. I know I could make money. I know that I could get, so a few people to sign up if I gave 20 minutes of the class to that topic, but that's not what we're there to do.
It's not what we're there to do, and
We're
that's not
we're
what they're there. That's not what they are there to do.
Yeah. Like, we're here to use our 4.5 hours as efficiently as we can to get through the bullshit we have to do and to try to give you at least a basic foundation of how to handle your firearm in a fight. I
Correct.
don't have 20 minutes. I could use the money, but that's not what we're here to do.
Correct.
And I'm not like tooting my own horn. This is just the way that I operate. It's why, like, if I had the more business minded orientation, yeah, I could do it. Like, I'm just not wired that way.
Yeah.
I've got other good ideas that are not gun related that I can't seem to make them happen because I'm not like that businessman type
Correct.
person. So, and there's other people, like, we know plenty of people who poured their heart and soul into this and never gotten rich off of it. Because that's not what they're there to do. I think Pincus is a good example of somebody who works extremely hard, but what he works hard at is making his teaching better and improving his idea of a concealed carry firearm for actual self-defense. Like, the Avidity Arms, the PD-10 is not going to be a gangbuster. It's not going to be a P365. It's not going to be a Glock 48. But it's a really well thought out self-defense handgun. So if anybody's looking for the right self-defense handgun for concealed carry, that's the idea. Is like, well, I'll make it, and maybe I'll sell 10,000 of them before I die.
Before he dies.
But if I say that this is what the gun should be and nobody else is making it, then I'll make it.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a commercial blockbuster.
It hasn't been.
Yeah.
And it's because it doesn't cater to the douchery, right? It doesn't cater to the double stack, and it doesn't cater to the he could have very easily done it, but then it wouldn't have been a good self-defense firearm.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's not using shitty marketing to promote it.
Correct. Or any.
That's probably more about him, like the way his brain works. It's like, once he did it, he's like, I did it. What do you like?
I made the gun. No, you buy it.
Yeah.
Well, and there is a fine balance, right? Like, Porsche does this in the gun industry. Porsche got hip to the idea that if you make a shitty SUV, and you rebrand an SUV that already exists, say you got an Audi because your sister company makes Audis, and you rebranded it as a fucking Porsche, you can make a fuck ton of money that way. But they've always been honest in this. That's not it. Like, I don't want you to buy a fucking Cayenne.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to buy a fucking SUV. Like, I'm happy you do, but the only reason we make a fucking Cayenne and those other dumb fucking SUVs that are Porsches is because I want to keep making the 911, and the 911 loses us a fuck ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to keep making it, and that is so they've always been honest in this. I don't think I've ever heard them like, Porsche SUV, that's what you should, but that's what people buy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where their profit is at, and then they dump all their fucking profit in the 911.
Yeah. Well, isn't Ferrari, I could be wrong about this, but doesn't Ferrari just basically as a business funds Ferrari racing? Like, I think that's all Ferrari ever wanted to do was race.
Yeah, so they made a fucking Mazda CX-30 or whatever the fucking SUV, because they fell into that trap too.
Mm-hmm.
They all did, right? Lamborghini has the Urus, which is just an Audi.
What a stupid name!
Stupid, yeah.
When you have Diablo and Huracan, and you're like,
Murcielago Urus. It's probably
it's almost like you're daring people to buy it. I bet you won't buy this. Let's call it
Yeah,
the Urus and see if
the
you still wanna
Urus.
buy it.
Yeah,
Oh, you bought it. Sweet. We can still
but
make Huracan.
yeah. And look up the Ferrari thing. Ferrari, they did is took Mazda's SUV and they're like, "Oh, this is it. Fucking
Mhm.
we got our fucking Ferrari SUV." But I think they've always been honest. So like, well, that's not what we want to do.
Yeah.
That's just what you fucking idiots buy. So
Yeah, we
we'll
just wanna
give
go
you
do the 24 hours of Le Mans,
yeah.
and we wanna win it, and it's expensive.
Yeah, so we know idiots will buy SUVs. So fucking here you go. Here's the fucking Porsche Cayenne.
Yeah.
But gun companies don't do that. Like gun companies
They're
will
selling on the Second Amendment. They're selling on
yeah,
self-defense.
like staccato is, and I know we're gonna catch heat, or at least I'm gonna catch heat for this, but staccato should not be marketed as a self-defense gun. It's an awesome competition gun, I'm sure, but it should not be marketed as a self-defense gun. Like
Mhm.
it's everything.
It's like the Ferrari F40.
Yeah.
Sweet, sweet car, no airbags, and no power windows.
Yeah. In 2025, that would be a
Yeah.
shit. I just drove a stick shift not too long ago. Um, and I remember I was like, "Oh, this is why we used to suck at driving." Like everybody who drives a stick shift sucks at driving. Because
Man,
it's
I used my first car was a stick shift and 12-inch wide tires with no power steering. And I used to eat and drive in that car.
yeah.
So, and one time I sliced my hand open and I couldn't use my hand at all to drive. And I was really trying to keep pressure on the wound. And I drove myself home in that car or in
Yeah.
that truck.
Like
Yeah,
shit
it's like, why do people drive stick? Mostly these days because they like it.
because they like it.
It doesn't
Or at
offer
least or at
a
least they wanna say that they like it.
yeah. It doesn't offer any real value over a modern automatic.
Nothing.
And people are like, "Well, it's more fuel efficient." Not anymore.
Not
It's not. The
anymore.
computer is smarter than you are
Yeah.
at
Not
managing
anymore.
fuel
You
efficiency.
it's more difficult to drive and text in a stick shift.
Mhm.
You can't watch videos as
Yeah,
easily.
yeah.
You can't take
So,
naps as easily while you're driving. Uh,
I mean, they're fun. My brother's car is the most fun I think I've ever had driving. But I drove that thing from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins in rush hour traffic, and that was a nightmare. That was not fun at all. Uh,
yeah, because 'cause
and
you're
so
constantly shifting,
yeah,
downshifting and shit, you're in 3rd the whole
but
fucking time.
so but Staccato makes this gun and markets it for a life and death fight,
Yeah.
and you get YouTubers who are doing their marketing for them. They're basically just showing how fast you can shoot the gun. Shooting the gun fast is not all that it is. Like in fighting, it's not the same thing.
It's not.
Um,
We just
and
seen the dude beat the dude to the draw and the shot, and he still fucking died.
mhm,
So, like, that's not what it is. We seen the dude hesitate because he had to take the safety off, or it looked like he needed to take the safety
mhm,
off. And when you have a staccato, that's what you're gonna have to do.
mhm,
And then did you train for it left-handed? Like, you
mhm,
might have to fucking shoot the fucker left-handed. Have you trained to take off your safety left-handed? But for staccato, it's just like, we just want the cult. We want the cult following, and we want money.
mhm.
We want pretentious douchebags, to carry our guns, and we're just gonna build a cult,
Yeah.
at the expense of humans, and hopefully nobody dies,
Mhm.
carrying those guns. But it's that, right? This is
Yeah.
why I think it's important to have this conversation.
One of the funny conversations around the staccato is that Ben Stoger was pointing out that it was not drop safe. It has a free floating firing pin, and uh, talking about if you drop it on the muzzle, it will go off. And people
Did they
arguing
go
like,
try it?
I think he did. I'm not sure. He didn't put a video out of him doing it, but I think other people
But
have.
I mean, that's been true for a lot of these free floating. firing pins.
So then the argument from people was like, well, if the muzzle's down, then there's no danger.
There's no danger. Yeah.
Like, no, that's not how bullets work, dude. So it's like, well, at least it just went through the floor into my neighbor's apartment. It didn't hurt me.
Fucking stupid.
So, yeah, I mean, I think a lack of principles is what's killing the Second Amendment, but I don't know where the fault is. Like, where's the
Yeah.
root of that problem? Because principles are hard. So I'll give you an idea of principles. This occurred to me, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday. So warfare used to be, primitive warfare was like extremely scary because there were no tactics really. It was just two
You got in
groups
a
of
line.
people. What's that?
You got in that line and you fucking.
Well, like there's a video on YouTube of this battle taking place on Papua New Guinea, and these are Stone Age people. I mean, this is modern times, but they're Stone Age people. They're fighting as if they were in the Stone Age, and they are scared, man. They are really scared. There's no order at all to the fighting, and what can happen when there's no order is that the worst brutality that you can think of will come out.
Yeah.
And more people will die than maybe need to die. And it's, when one group turns and runs, like the human instinct is to chase them down and kill them.
Kill them.
So the Western world developed organized warfare to help manage the risk of putting armies up against each other, so that the brutality was kept out of it. Conflict is inevitable, but we don't necessarily need to be brutal with each other.
Yeah.
But it took thousands of years to develop that. And then it all
Fucking
fell
Geneva
apart.
Convention type shit.
Yeah, it all fell apart when they left the continent of Europe and went to primitive places and found that the primitive people don't fight like that. The primitive people will ambush your orderly army and they will scalp them.
Well, that's how we won, right? That's how we.
Yeah, we
won.
adopted, like the American, the colonials adopted that type of warfare.
Yeah.
But the principle was in a not modern, that's not the right word, but in an orderly society, we have to resist our human nature and abide by the principles of gentlemanly warfare, I guess. But when you actually test that out against the rest of the world, you find like that doesn't work so well. That's really complex stuff. And principles are not preserved, I think, easily. I think you really have to sacrifice a lot to keep the principle. And people have not been good at that in our affluent society. So we're so used to squandering resources at this point. Why wouldn't we squander our principles too? So I mean, it's hard. Like I'm not that great at it. I make compromises that I don't like. I don't like looking at myself after I make a compromise. It's difficult stuff to do, especially when we don't really need the Second Amendment today. I'm not saying in the future, but we live in such an orderly society that people go their whole lives without ever getting into a dangerous conflict. And most people,
Millions upon millions of humans go their entire life.
yeah, and most people really don't need to worry about the government showing up at their house and throwing them in jail.
Yeah.
So the whole point of the Second Amendment was to defend yourself from extreme violence from the government or from other people, to have the means to do that. But if we don't experience that kind of violence on a regular basis, people forget that why they had it in the first place. And then they turn over and they're like, well, this is more important than that. Even though I say that the Second Amendment is important to me, my actions show differently.
All the time. And that's the frustrating thing. That's why it has me kind of think about all of this shit.
Mhm.
is and there is this guilty by association type shit where people will justify why their sheriff did it, or
Mhm.
people will justify why the local gun store did the thing, or why
Mhm.
PSA does the thing, or why the NRA does the thing. Right? It's kind of like the Trump thing right now, where he's actually adding more to the debt, and then people are like, no, no, that's how you play chess. Like
Yeah.
you're actually
You have to
supposed to
spend
lose.
money to save money.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
It's
starting
just
to
like
sound like me when I'm looking at buying a car. Well, I mean, I could just keep driving this one, but eventually it's gonna break, so I need to buy a new one now.
now.
Yeah. So, yeah, people will bend their logic and even their perception around their goals. Um, your perception reflects your goals. And so if your goal is to defend Trump, then you're only going to perceive things that would seem to defend Trump. If your goal is to defend uh, the Second Amendment, then your perception will be how do the things that promote that perception. So when you see people saying things like "I support the Second Amendment," but and you're like, "Nope, that's not how it works."
That's not how it works.
Whatever is about to come out of your mouth is not going to trump my understanding of a human right.
Yeah.
So, but now you sound like a crazy person because then I'm in the class saying I agree with zero gun laws, and you,
Zero.
you get probably a quarter of the people in the
None.
class like zero.
Zero?
Yes, zero.
Is zero. Yeah. Yeah.
But what if? What if? Yeah,
How many times have you had super gun people take the test and be like, "What the fuck?
yeah,
I do believe that we should take this class."
yeah.
Like that shit happens to me a lot where it's just like, "Well, I don't think
Yeah.
I don't
Actually, it's kind of funny. I had a class that, back in January, I think, and the question came up about red flag laws. And my goal in the class is just to explain what they are. I'm not going to get into why I don't agree with them because we don't have time for that.
yeah,
You need to know what they are because they exist and they could affect you. So let's focus on what's important in the moment. But people do end up usually saying something about, them trying to take away your guns. But this one woman in the class, she was like, wait, I don't understand why that's a bad thing. I said, well, I'm not going to go into it right now because we don't really have time. But I'll just say this: the people who have the right to take your stuff away from you can take a lot more than just your stuff. And then we just kind of like let it go and we finished the class. And then she came back to the range for the shooting part and we started doing the test. And I started using the test as an explanation of how ridiculous these laws are. And we got to the part about the safe storage law where your handgun needs to be in a locked, hard sided case and it needs to be out of view, but it doesn't need to be secured to the vehicle. And your rifle needs to be in a locked case, but it doesn't need to be out of view. And it also doesn't need to be secured to the vehicle.
or hard-sided case. The long
But the
gun does
point
have to be.
is
Yeah,
the point of that law is to prevent the unauthorized access of those firearms,
correct.
but it doesn't require that you secure the firearm to the vehicle in any way.
Correct.
How does that make sense? And for long guns, it doesn't require that you even put it out of view. So I tell people you can put your rifle in the case and lock it up and set it on the dash, and you are following the law. And she was in the class and we started talking about these things, and she started to like understand the absurdity of trying to use laws um, to control how responsible people are or
Correct.
aren't. And I don't think I totally changed her mind, but it was kind of like that light bulb moment of like, oh, this is maybe why you don't agree with the laws, because they don't work and they don't make any sense. And even if they did make sense, the big picture here is I am taking away your rights because I am afraid of you.
Yeah.
And I have the power to take something from you because I'm afraid of you. So that's not how rights are supposed to work. So
Correct.
anyway, capitalism is also super annoying, I think. Because
we're gonna sound like a bunch of
yeah,
fucking commies
Well, yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I'm not gonna say, like, communism's annoying too, you know?
and so
You got
socialism
you
and
got daddy government who's
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah,
able to solve every single problem, so we'll just give them complete
all the
authority.
money. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, but it create it creates capitalism allows for temporary success with a complete lack of competence. Like, Haktua is an example
yeah.
of somebody who has absolutely 0 to offer and becomes an instant success, but not long term. And that's the thing is like you got to like ignore the short term and focus on the long term. She doesn't have long term success. She won't ever have long term success. So, but you see, this is like
That's
to
what we
me, this
said
is what,
about Cash Me Outside. How about that? And then
yeah.
she's still fucking
Oh,
around
she's still kicking around. She's making some serious coin on OnlyFans, as
on
I
OnlyFans.
understand. But like, I get really annoyed with that stuff when I pay attention to it. So I just try not to pay attention to it. And I try not to pay attention to the gun bros who are super successful for being complete morons. Um, GBRS Group is an example of that.
I don't know who that is.
They're the ones I mentioned them, I think, last week. They're the ones saying that, you know, they're basically saying SIG is a great gun. The P320 is a great
Oh,
gun.
perfect, flawless.
Yeah, flawless.
Yeah,
And um, yeah. So it's like I don't want to be I don't want to be a hater, so I have to just ignore as much of that as I can because
correct,
otherwise I will hate on it.
correct.
So I have to ignore some of the things I do because I'd hate on myself if I paid attention to every single thing I did. So So today I was in the office and there was somebody that I had seen that I wanted to talk to, but she had walked away. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll see her later. And I come around the corner and somebody comes the other way. And for a moment, it looks like her. So I'm like, hey, good to see you. You know, and then I realize it's not her, it's just some random person. And she goes, hey, good to see you. And then is in that instant, I'm like, wrong person.
Did you
And I
say it?
just kept walking. No, I didn't say it. I just
Oh,
kept walking, you know? Like, what just happened? It was like the most enthusiastic, "Hey!" And then just keep walking. And the whole way home, dude, I was like, "You're such an idiot."
fucking
Uh, yeah,
stupid.
so,
Yeah,
um
it's a very complex conversation. It's I'm sure people are going to take away what they want to take away from it instead of what needs to be taken away from it. And that is this for me anyways is like we need to start reevaluating how we interact with our the thing that saves us because the gun can potentially save us. The gun can potentially save our whatever freedom. Uh,
Sovereignty.
sovereign, sovereign, fucking Mexicans. Um, and like it can potentially protect us, but to your point, we haven't needed to do any of that stuff for a
Mhm,
very long fucking time. I think we've forgotten how important it is just to have it. Period. Just to
mhm.
have it. So we have compromised our Second Amendment for sure. I'm sure if I'm sure if you showed Ben Franklin and Sam Adams and Thomas Jefferson where we're at right now, one, they'd be like, "What the fuck? You have all this shit?" And then
Mhm,
two, they'd be like, "What the fuck? You register this stuff?" And like, "What do you
mhm,
mean you agree with that?" And what the fuck you mean you're okay with the big beautiful bill to increase more money spending as long as it doesn't give you a $200 tax stamp?
mhm.
Like it's like it's fucking weird. Um, we're in this very weird spot where if there's anything killing the Second Amendment is just um I think it's we want to use it as a product, and as soon as it becomes a product, it's no longer a right.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, I hate to call this dude out because I think, if I knew him personally, I think I'd like him, but Colion Noir does this constantly. Support the fight to protect the Second Amendment by buying my T-shirt.
You want me to
Like
text him
that,
really quick?
text him. That's exactly what he says. If you support the Second Amendment, show it by buying my T-shirt. And it's so slimy. It's so slimy. But part of me is like, I can't hate because that's the market,
Oh, I almost
you
showed
know.
his number on. I was about to show the text, and it has his number up
I
there.
wonder if he still has that number.
Yeah, he still has it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should text him a big booty hoe and see if he responds. And I think in his mind, the way he justifies is like that allows me to keep the channel going, which allows me to get the message out. You know.
Which is
Um,
fair, right? Like, I wish we had sponsors. Like, I
yeah,
wish we
it's fair, and I think he does a good job of explaining the positions of.
but it's not gonna keep the Second Amendment alive.
No, people have to do that.
Yeah,
You could talk all you want, but if your audience isn't doing anything
yeah,
except buying your shirt, then you can't do it by yourself.
correct.
You get the message out, and everybody's like, "Yeah, heard it." Like, okay. It's like
Yeah,
telling everybody what time to show up, and they're like, "Yeah, I heard,"
yeah,
but nobody
correct.
shows up on
Nobody
time.
shows up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's one of those where it's just like I'm not mad at people making money. I'm just mad
Mhm.
at people turning the Second Amendment into a product.
Yeah.
Because the Second Amendment shouldn't be a product. The Second
Yeah.
Amendment is a right. It's how I stay alive. It's freedom. It's all of that stuff. But because we do treat it as a product, we do only end up with 500 people showing up to a committee hearing.
Mhm.
Did you see how many motherfuckers showed up to the Douglas County wanting to become a home rule county?
No.
6,000.
To support it or to
Just have a conversation about it.
Oh, wow.
The county had a meeting and they're like, well, we need to develop a commission because we want to become there's a whole process on becoming a home rule state. I think it takes
Mhm.
like 2 years or some a home rule county jurisdiction. And they're like, fuck yeah, Denver has it, Broomfield has it. I forget who else has it, Boulder, I think. They're home rule. And all that means here in the state of Colorado is you can ignore very limited amount of state laws because you're home rule. Is not a huge benefit, but 6,000 motherfuckers showed
Hmm.
up, most in favor, but some of them are like, I just want to know what the fuck this is all about. Like,
Yeah.
is this beneficial or not? Because they weren't being sold anything. Well, at least this is my theory, right? They're just genuinely curious about what the fuck's going to happen to their county.
Yeah.
How does this benefit me? How does it not? Should I fight for it? Should I not? And then the Second Amendment, because there's nothing to be sold at the Capitol, because the Second Amendment has turned into a product. 500, 2 million
Mhm.
gun owners. Is that what we have? 2 million, or am
Yeah,
I
I think
that
it's in that ballpark, little over 600,000 concealed carry permit holders.
about
Uh,
two
I
million gun owners?
Yeah, I like the concealed carry permit holder number because it shows people who have not just own a firearm, but put forth some
Yeah,
effort to do
yeah.
something on top of that.
So that's
Um,
if we got 6,000, that's 1% of that
1%.
fucking 1% of that. We're right. Is that my math correct? 1%
Yep.
of 600,000.
Mhm.
I think my math is correct.
Mhm.
Um, it's just 1%, but we can't even get that because again, there's nothing to be sold at the Capitol. There's
And
no
people are like, "Well, I
yeah,
can't show up to the Capitol." Like, you can testify on Zoom.
yeah,
You
but
can
then
al you can contact your representatives. You
yeah,
can
but then I have to waste paper.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't work. That's the response. It doesn't do anything. Well, yeah, but maybe if 60,000 people, 10%
10%.
spoke up, that might actually do something.
Fucking bonkers.
Yeah.
But
So,
I mean, again, it sounds like a broken record, but we just it's a product now. The
mhm.
Second Amendment is a
Well,
product.
Jesus is a product too. You see
Jesus
what
is a
that's done
product. Yeah,
to religion.
yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure, for sure. That's a big turnoff for me on why I don't go back to Christianity. It's not even whether or not I believe in God or not, and I
Mhm.
don't know if I do or don't. Um, but that is a big discouragement, right? When you see a motherfucker lock the doors. That shit
Mhm.
was hilarious, by the way. It's like that
Joel
motherfucker.
Osteen?
No, 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 no. You didn't see that video?
No.
This pastor, he's like, "All right, lock the doors." And he's
Oh,
like,
he wasn't letting people out?
he's like, "Yeah, you motherfuckers are gonna pay up. Pay up. Go look that shit up. This motherfucker legit." He's like, "We're lock the fucking doors." Uh,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, motherfuckers ain't leaving. But yeah, it turned into a business. Jesus is a product.
Mhm.
Christmas is very successful because Jesus is a product. Easter is very successful because Jesus is a product. Um, but there's no substance. So now the 2A is a product, and we just turn it into a fucking carnival sideshow,
Mhm.
and instead of what it's supposed to be, and it keeps me alive and it keeps me free.
Mhm.
It doesn't do that anymore. It makes me feel good. The Second Amendment is supposed to make me feel good.
Yeah. And it's
Um,
tricky because, how do you participate in that? It's like you buy something, you know?
yeah,
Oh, yeah, I like it. That's what the candle's for.
that's what the candle's for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Not for
by the way,
sale,
you
by the
can
way.
by the way, you can buy these on the
If you go to our website right now, you can buy these.
website. Um, like to participate, you spend money, you buy a gun, which is, fun. And it's
Oh, it
like
feels cool.
it's like an expression of your participation. You're like, check it out, I got a gun. And that's it's not really the point. The point is to be autonomous, to be able to make your own decisions. Like you can exercise the Second Amendment by not buying guns. It's your choice um
Yeah.
on how you protect yourself. But it's tricky, and people have relatively short attention spans, and I don't mean like, oh, everybody's watching TikTok and they have like human beings have a short attention
Right.
spans. And that is primarily focused on day-to-day survival. And so if you're not really needing that thing for your day-to-day survival, it just gets further and further away from your priority. So, yeah, pray to the saint of the Second Amendment, Santo Edgar. Yes. So, I've been burning these when I do my videos, and
You
so
need a
I'm
new.
gonna need a new one at some point.
Oh,
But
I'll send one with Seki. Uh,
you know what I need is a whole bunch of them just lined up like a Catholic church or a memorial on the side of the road. I'll put a little caballero. Is that it? Cowboy caballero.
no, caballero is a gentleman.
Okay,
Vaquero,
caballo. Ah,
Vac
vaquero.
vaquero.
Yeah, put a little cross with cowboy hat on it. um, yeah. So, uh, then you start buying these things, and they turn into like their own kind of status symbols. Um, and you get it's easy to get wrapped up in that too. It's like, oh, this gun's cool, so if I buy it, that makes me cool. Let me show everybody how cool I am. I mean, I'm doing it right now. I got that freaking thing in the background to add to the cool ambiance. Put a fucking red light on it, and like, ooh,
Fuck yeah.
it's like it's so easy to fall into that. Um,
What is it? A Delton?
no,
Is that what that brand is? Delton, Delcon?
Delton. I think they went out of business.
Oh, they went out of business.
Yeah,
That was one
uh,
of the cheap ones, right? The Deltons,
it was one of the cheap ones. This is a poverty pony mostly, PSA.
PSA.
But I started building this because I watched Blood Diamond and I wanted to make the same gun that I saw in the movie.
I don't even know what that is.
Um, so, because they're cool, they're fun, they're cool things to have. Uh, Interestingly, though, though over the last few years, I've lost a lot of interest in that cool factor, and I have some cool guns, but I don't really even use them that much because I'm not really that interested like I used to be. I'm interested in if my handgun works, can I use it appropriately, and can I teach other people how to use it?
Yeah,
So
it's been interesting to see your evolution from douchery to
to mild douchery.
Mild douchery. It's so fucking funny because I talk about being a douchebag and how Sig caters to the douchebag,
Yeah.
and they're all like, "I have 5."
Yeah. Let's see,
I
I have 2.
You have 2
I have
Sigs?
a P938, but I am selling the P938 because I haven't fired it in probably 5 years.
Yeah.
Uh,
I have a 938. I think I even have a 238, and then I have a P320, and then I have a
is the P320 locked up in a bulletproof safe?
yeah. I carried it for a little bit. I think I carried it for, like, a month. It's
Yeah.
the P320X compact.
So I don't think we've talked about exactly that on the podcast. I know we've talked about it over text, but what is your impression of what's going on with that gun?
So, I genuinely believe that most of the guns that are fucking up, if we pay attention, because SIG currently does truly cater to the douchery.
Mhm.
Like, if you look at where all of these guns are showing up and where they're going off, minus the 1 or 2 police officers, most of them are at these classes where they wear the tack vest and the night vision goggles, and they do the slicing of the pie. I may be wrong, but that's where I see them. Of the few times that I've seen them, that's where I've seen them happen. So I've never seen it happen at, um, outside of that. Like, I've had a few people in my class have the P320s, they carried it just fine. I'm sure you've had people with 320s,
Mhm.
and they carried it just fine. But we also ask people at the beginning of class, "Have you modified your gun? Have you upgraded anything?" And I think a lot of these humans are taking already a pretty iffy design. I don't think it's a horrible design, but it is pretty iffy. If you take it apart, like, it's like it's not amazing. I've never seen it to be fucky.
Mhm.
Um, and then they modify it. They
Mhm.
because you know the douchery, they want a lighter trigger press because some douchebag on the internet said smooth trigger press. And they swap things out, and I'm assuming that that's what happened. Nobody talks about it, right? That's the
Mhm.
problem, is everybody's just like, well, it happened.
I've
um
heard some speculation that having a flashlight on the gun is doing something, but I'm like, that should not
Not even
adding a
close.
flashlight should not make your gun dangerous
Not even a little
inherently,
bit.
right? Like your actions with the flashlight might make it dangerous, but
Yeah.
adding something to the outside of the gun that doesn't interact with any of the mechanical function of the gun shouldn't affect how the gun functions.
Especially if it's in the holster
Yeah.
and you're listening to a briefing
Yeah.
and it just goes off.
Um, I really don't know. I'm not really good enough at the understanding of the engineering to make a statement, except to say that why don't we if SIG is fine, if the 320 is fine, why don't we see other guns having the same types of problems at the same scale? Um,
Yeah. And again, the other thing, they cater to the douchery, so they don't have a tap safety on the trigger, which is a drop safe
mhm,
primarily. But it could add to their plausible deniability, right? Like, now you can say, well, it's got all they don't have that external passive safety,
mhm.
which Glock has, and FN Reflex has, and your
Yeah.
HKVP9 has, and
Another reason why I'm suspicious of SIG in all of this is that there is plenty of documented breakages with these guns where they're not going off, but they're breaking under
yeah,
normal wear and tear.
yeah,
There's an instructor who has a YouTube channel, and he's got multiple videos of the Sig 365 having a breakage in the same place, so much so that he just keeps extra pieces on hand for that one breakage. And these guns are failing after 3,000-4,000 rounds.
yeah. I made a video about this a little bit.
Hmm.
And it was mostly to say, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but, like, one thing that I did notice with my P320, and this is a reason why I stopped carrying it, is because it's got the fire control group, so it separates, and it
Mhm.
seems like it allows more space for shit to get in there.
Mhm.
And there was one time I was at the range, and I used that gun as a demo. So I did shit with it that I wouldn't do under normal circumstances. It hit the ground a little bit more and stuff like that. We're talking about the frame. I
Mhm.
took the gun apart, and it was just the frame, so I can hold the frame,
Mhm.
just that. And um so some dust got in there, and it did not cycle properly once that happened. I've done that with basically every other fucking gun.
Mhm.
I've done it with Glock, and I've done it with Smith and Wesson M&P. I've done it with an HKVP9. I've done it with the 365. I've done it with a bunch of other fucking guns, and not a single one gave me an issue like that one gave me an issue.
Mhm.
So it seems like the tolerances between the frame and the fire control group allow for more dust or particles to get in there and have more of an issue. Now, I don't know if that's just a one-off that happened to me, but it is one, like you say, if this is because Glock has spacing there for you to take out the housing in the back and shit like that.
Mhm.
Like, it's not like space is unique to SIG, but it seems like there's enough of a space
Yeah.
for it to have some issues. So to your point is why isn't it happening to other guns that are made very similar to
Right.
this
Why
technology?
aren't we having I mean, because think of how many new design striker-fired handguns, because the P320 is a relatively new design, in the world of striker-fired handguns, but there's plenty others that are less are newer than that one, and we don't see the same issues with them.
Correct.
Um
Fuck, the FN Reflex is a really awesome design. It's a hammered gun, so I don't know that I would ever carry it. But it seems like fucking Glock and a hammered FN fucked and had a baby because
Mhm.
it doesn't have thumb safeties and it does have a trigger safety. And that one is kind of interesting technology from an engineering standpoint, because it seems like they made it as safe as a striker fired in a hammered fire. I haven't seen it all that much, but
Mhm.
from what I've seen, it seems like they've done a pretty decent job with it. And that one hasn't had any issues,
Yeah.
right? Like that one, fuck the easy. You and I have seen firsthand how shitty that gun is. Um, and at the same scale as the P320, we haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Um,
mean, so it's just like there's a bunch of red flags going on with SIG. And if you have a bunch of red flags going on with your product, and there's at least plausible reports that they're going off without people intentionally pressing the trigger or pressing the trigger at all, uh, then I'm gonna be pretty careful around, especially that model of the gun. But I'm a little concerned because I've been carrying a P365 for quite a while. I'm a little concerned that it's not as durable as I hoped it would be, and I don't wanna carry a gun that's not durable. So,
yeah.
I think SIG needs to unfuck themselves, but I think they've got the wrong priorities. They're trying to preserve they're they're doing the fallacy of sunk costs. We put this much into it, we can salvage it, and it's like, maybe you should just pull your product off the market for a little while and
Go back to the drawing board.
get some independent third parties to verify your engineering um and your construction of these firearms, because I think
Well, there we go again with the money being the priority.
Mhm.
I see this with people as well when they buy a shitty gun instead of saying I just bought a shitty gun.
Mhm.
There's nothing wrong with saying I bought a shitty gun, but what they'll do, it's the dead horse theory, right? It just now it just needs a new saddle.
Mhm.
Let's just fucking polish its hooves really quick. Let me braid its hair. Like the fucking thing's dead. Like,
Let me braid its hair.
uh,
Uh,
and Sig has been like shit. Even when they did the fix, it wasn't like everybody should send us their gun back.
mhm.
There's probably still Gen 1 P320s out there that don't have the fix
Mhm.
because Sig was not like, yeah, we fucked up, send them all back. They're like, no big deal. Um, if you want to send it back,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
voluntary.
Yeah. All right. I have one more topic to talk about, and that's limp wristing.
Interesting.
So limp wristing is, when you're not putting enough leverage on the gun and you fire and the gun tries to cycle, but it loses so much energy because it's moving in places it shouldn't be moving. And I've had people in classes who are not weak, who are not, they don't have a terrible grip, but they're getting limp wristing issues. And then you go watch these dudes like in the hood shooting guns that are like big guns. I'm talking like full size Glocks with one hand over their head sideways, and they're not getting any malfunctions. They're not getting any, uh, failure to cycle or like any of those failures. I find this very confusing. I find it very confusing that you could put two hands on the gun and experience a limp wristing malfunction when somebody else is putting minimal effort into that gun and it's functioning just fine. Do you have an explanation for this?
Well, one of the things that we kind of have to look at when we look at this is this equation is the moment of inertia. So we can also look at the moment of force,
Mm-hmm.
but because the moment of force is a little bit different, but it still relates. You can argue that it can be the moment of force, but in my non PhD physics knowledge, I believe that the moment of inertia is more representative of this.
All right. Explain moment of inertia to me like I'm 5 years old.
um, Let me show you moment of inertia
Okay.
like you're 5 years old instead. So if we go,
Gonna get your G.I. Joe and your Barbie out.
fuck yeah, fuck yeah, I am. Um, 50, I'm gonna pull up a video that shows this pretty good. So this is, I didn't have it queued up, so I need to go hunting for it.
So the inertia is tied to the conservation of energy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it at the end of the day, it's just angular momentum.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see this, it makes sense a little bit more. If you see it, I think it'll make sense. But so here we go. I found it. Doo-ga-doo, and it doesn't matter if you can hear it or not. But so if we go to like right about here, this is when I talk about like people look at guns aesthetically and they're like, I'm gonna choose a gun because it looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They're like you ignore the moment of inertia. So this is the moment of inertia. He presses the trigger, the third law of motion kicks in, energy comes out the barrel, and then energy comes back because every action has an equal and opposite reaction. And if you notice, because he doesn't have a really stable grip, which is fine, or stance overall, the energy, this is where you get the energy times the distance of the point of rotation squared,
Okay.
if that made sense. So you have to measure the energy, and then his wrist is the point of rotation, the point of pivot.
So
So
acting as a lever.
it's acting as a lever. That's
Mm-hmm.
going to go up, and this is why you see this. So he shoots the gun, and then he points the gun at baby Jesus. And then right at the exact same time, or in the same video, we see him shoot a Barrett 50 cal. And if you notice the bipod, especially the bipod, doesn't really leave the table. The
Mm-hmm.
muzzle doesn't go up, the muzzle goes back. That's because the point of pivot is where his shoulder's at. So the energy goes straight back into his shoulder, it doesn't go up. Now, if he
Okay.
stands up, we know what the fuck's gonna happen. Because now the point of pivot kind of does change to his feet to a certain degree. So I without seeing, but I have seen this. I have seen this where newbies or people who have been shooting for a very long time and they think they know how to shoot will get a lot of cycling issues, a lot of malfunctions because they will bend their elbows a little bit. I hope we can see.
Mm-hmm.
They will bend their elbows a little bit. So now you're adding the point of pivot is even lower than the wrist because now your elbows become a point of pivot and now the
Mm-hmm.
energy is further than the elbows.
So you've lengthened the lever that
Cor-
spends energy.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the gangsters, if you watch them, most of them are with a high extension and there's more stability if that makes sense, right? Because
Yeah.
now they're extending out fucking now there's no lever or the
Right.
lever is more stable, kind of like the shoulder thing. So I
Yeah.
without seeing, I
Okay.
can't tell.
That's plausible. What brought this
Correct.
up is I had somebody. I mean that plausible and it's starting to make sense to me.
No, but it is plausible because I don't know without seeing it. Like
Yeah.
it's yeah.
What's weird is so. Let me ask a question: would the length of the barrel make a difference?
Yes. The length of the barrel will always make a difference, but not as much of a difference as we would make it out to see.
Okay.
Um,
Because the
eh,
length of the barrel, you're adding more leverage to the end of the gun. So when the gun is trying to rotate,
yeah, but you're talking about pistols, like it's not enough to counter the third law of motion.
mhm, it's
Um,
a it's a it's too small to
it
measure.
correct.
Okay, because here's what happened. I had a guy in the class who was shooting some fancy race gun. You know, it's marketed as like a fancy, cool carry gun, but it really belongs more on the competition platform. And had a compensator on it. Had a longer barrel, and this guy wasn't a small person; he was a normal sized person, and he was getting malfunctions, and his grip was like that much lower on the gun than it should have been, which wasn't a lot. And I moved his hand up that little bit, and I told him, you know, you need to adjust your grip, put a little bit more pressure behind the gun, and fixed it for the rest of the day. And I'm looking at this gun, I'm like, I don't see any real reason why this little shift in the grip would make that much of a difference when
Yeah, but your timing's that's it's squared. That
Mhm.
distance
Yeah.
is so the energy times the distance squared. I'll show you I'll send a video to you that explains it pretty good.
Mhm.
Because when you're talking about squaring the distance
Mhm.
and then you're timesing that by the energy that the gun's making, um, it's it can be pretty significant, which
Mhm.
counters the size of the barrel. This is why the size of the barrel, like it matters, but it's not as much as the squaring of. It's kind of like when we get the 45 in kinetic energy. The 45 is awesome. But the very first thing we do in kinetic energy is we reduce the mass. What we
Mhm.
square is the velocity. So velocity is slightly more important than mass.
Mhm.
Mass matters, but if you have big mass, low velocity, it's not as awesome as if you have okay mass and then a fuck ton of. This is where the 10 mil is super awesome
Mhm.
ballistically. We all suck with it because there's a lot of third law of motion. Um, but anyways,
So the posture of the gangbanger is a lot of times is gun up higher than the line of sight, uh, straight arm,
straight arm,
bent wrist,
yeah.
and so
The wrist is still the point of pivot
mhm,
in that particular area. But now you're going, um, are we gonna get fucking kicked off? Yeah, I'm not. Now you're going. Now the angular momentum is sideways.
Mhm.
and it's no longer up.
Well, the movement of the wrist in any direction doesn't really matter
Yeah. Yeah, yeah,
if the
yeah.
arm is straight,
Correct. Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
now we
Yeah,
removed the elbow as part of the pivot point, I guess.
correct.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I guess I understand that. It's baffling to me to see somebody doing it almost completely right and failing, and then seeing somebody do it, like, really terrible and not failing.
And not failing.
Yeah.
And then you have to remember some guns do tolerate your bullshit a lot more than others.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So there are some guns that will tolerate your bullet, like Glock, as bad of a reputation it has with limp wristing, it actually tolerates bullshit pretty well.
Mhm,
Um, More so the Gen 3s than the Gen 5s. I do see in Gen 5s a little bit more malfunctions,
mhm.
cycling issues because of that. But overall, it does fine. You get a smaller gun, the recoil spring is sometimes too stiff for the motion. Um, so there's just a fuck ton of variables. Some
Yeah,
guns tolerate. So we don't know if the gangbangers are just carrying guns that tolerate the bullshit a
yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah, and then you get guys who are, like, doing that dumbass position with the gun, and it's full auto, and they don't have any malfunctions.
It's weird. Fucking weird.
Um,
Maybe they just pray harder than everybody else.
yeah, yeah. So gun website said apathy. Yeah, I think that's part of the equation with the, decline of the Second Amendment. Um, and then, who said, I think the
Joseph.
guys in the good hood get malfunctions. They get them, but if you watch enough of these videos, you'd be surprised how many don't get them
Yeah,
when you watch the way that they shoot these guns.
correct. That's the problem with watching 2 or 3 videos.
Yeah.
Isaac, if anybody watches videos and study this, Isaac watches an unhealthy amount of people getting shot in the fucking face.
Yeah.
An unhealthy amount.
So so, like, when we're reviewing that other video and the guy gets a spinal shot and just falls to the ground, and I realized the whole time I'm doing the video, I haven't even looked at the bad guy. I'm just like, "Yeah, the guy's dead," like, what.
Yeah, 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 just move on. Let's go study the rest
Yeah,
of it. Which at some point we have to, right? This
yeah,
is the problem with people is every time I show them videos, they're like, "Whoa." I was like, "No,
yeah,
no, no, let's break it down."
yeah, part of me is like, "It's 2025, is this the first time you've seen somebody get smoked?"
It and then you have to break it down. It's like, "No, this is why this is wrong, and this is what you should be looking at, and
Yeah,
this is." And it is weird to be like, "Yeah, disregard the dead guy. Let's look
yeah,
at this person." The one in Brazil, the tent city, like that's one that people are like, "Oh my god, it's so quick and fucking he won." I was like, "Yeah, but he was looking at the ground the whole fucking time that he was shooting,
yeah,
or when he started when he won, and then he almost hot shot his fucking foot off." But people will only see what they want to see,
mhm,
instead of seeing what is actually in front of them,
yeah.
and
There's a
if
video that I try to watch it every year or 2, and it's a medical it's a medical lecture, so it's kinda long,
uh,
and it's about bullet injuries, um, and the guy's an anesthesiologist, but he kinda has this interest in gunshot wounds, and so he spends quite a bit of time talking about gunshot wounds, and then he starts talking about the hospital setting and how to control blood pressure and, with somebody who's losing blood and stuff like that. But his presentation is like half stand-up comedy,
yeah,
and he's showing X-rays of people who have died or been seriously injured, you know, but he's not thinking about that as like the reason why we're doing this. The reason why we're doing this is we want to understand this mechanism of injury better. And to keep you engaged, it's that real, like, gallows humor, and he's focused on something completely different than what your typical person,
correct,
like,
correct.
"Whoa, that's an
What
X-ray
the
of a
fuck?
gunshot victim," and you're like, "Yeah, yeah, but, like, this is the point," you know?
Correct.
Because I used to show a lot of those videos in the classes. I don't really show them anymore because I've really gotten away from using a TV at all.
Yeah.
Uh, but, yeah, people get focused on the tragedy because it's really the first time they've really saw something like that. at least on video.
Correct.
And not everybody, but a lot of
A
people.
lot of people.
And it's going to make it hard for you to take the right thing away from that video. Now, using the tragedy could be an example of like, this is why we respect the tool, because of the power it has. This guy was alive 2 seconds ago and now he's not anymore.
Yeah.
But I
And this is
think,
why you don't fucking carry in the small of the back.
yeah. So anyway, yeah, I do watch an unhealthy amount of these types of videos. This is off topic mostly, but one of my favorite videos to watch for a long time, I stopped watching them because I kind of got tired of it, but was the hood to hood videos. Those were some of my favorite videos. The guy just showing up in the hood with a video camera and interviewing the dudes on the corner,
Oh,
and
I'm interested to see what they're gonna think now that their homie was pardoned.
which one?
The Disciples guy.
Oh,
Chicago.
yeah, I saw that. He got sentenced back in the 70s, right?
Yeah.
Was he Gangster Disciples?
Gangster Disciple. I need to text somebody. You and I both know somebody who was a disciple.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see what he says about it.
I wonder why he commuted his sentence, or did he pardon him? I think he commuted his sentence.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck he did.
Yeah, probably because he gave him $1 million. Yeah. All right. So that we covered a lot.
Yeah.
We
said words.
Yeah.
We said words on a Thursday.
The gun giveaway is wrapping up on, what day is it?
Someday we should consider adding more days to that fucking gun giveaway.
Yeah, we should, because right now I don't think we've even raised what it's worth. So
no way. That's a fucking $5,000 gun, $8,000
no,
gun?
not 5,000. I'd put it somewhere between $2,500 and $3,000 with the ammo.
No.
With the ammo, it's definitely up over 3,000.
No.
Well, if you're gonna go to gun broker, that's
this is a Russian Vepr?
Yeah, with the long barrel, 23-inch barrel, and a POSP scope.
Maybe I showed the wrong one last time, but and maybe it's not the because yours is what caliber?
7.62 by 54.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is
which is the most rare, I think. No, I think the AK-74. I think the 545 by 45 is the most rare in the Veprs in the United States.
Because if you go to Atlantic Firearms, you can get some for it's $8,000.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but it's the 74.
Yeah, that's the 545.
But even the 47 is $79.99. AK-47, RPK 4733.
Oh, because they're RPKs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yours is not an RPK.
No. It has a long barrel, but it has a single stack magazine. So it's the RPKs are even more rare than the
Got it.
Yeah. So I have a Wasser RPK garbage can gun, and it's worth like $2,000 because you just can't get them anymore. So actually, it's not a Wasser technically. It's a Romanian, but I bought it for $600 before they got expensive. Yeah. So anyway, $5. You could have it for $5. You could have this gun for $5. If you go to gunsforeveryone.com/legal-fund, tickets are $5, and your odds of winning are pretty good, way better than the Powerball. So
yeah, and you helped the lawsuit more than anything else. You helped the lawsuit, so get on that. We're probably going to consider extending it. Sucks to do it, but if it's a fucking $3,000 thing and tickets don't represent that, it's kind of difficult to justify it. Somebody will win it. It's not like somebody won't win it. It's not like we'll back out of it. we're committed to it. And it's happened a few times where we lose money, and it is what it is. But we'd like not to lose money. Isaac would like to not lose money on this shit.
Well, I'm already losing money. I just wanted to go for the lawsuit. So
Yeah. So help
the
us out with that. Share it. Tell people about it. Have the conversation. One of the things that you guys don't do, you guys are awesome showing up and shit like that. But I've noticed that our people who follow us don't share our shit. And it sucks to put you guys out there like that, but it's very few humans share it. I get it, busy, all that shit, but help us out, share it. Hate to be annoying and cliche-ish, but this lawsuit is really, really important, and the only way it works is if you at least share the information. That helps us out a lot.
Yeah. All right, and classes on the calendar as usual.
Competition, June 29th.
Oh, the Concealed Carry Cup. Yes.
Yeah, competition. If you want to qualify for your permit, competitions qualify in the state of Colorado and many other states. We have one coming up June 29th.
Sanctioned competition.
Sanctioned competition. GFEnational.com. You find the information there.
And it's going to be at Empire Gun Club?
Empire Gun Club, yep.
Yep. And yeah, you can go, and that counts for renewals and for new concealed carry permits.
Yep.
So,
yep.
How many people can sign up for that?
I have it limited to 40.
Okay.
If more people register, then we'll consider upping the number. But as of right now, I have it maxed at 40 people.
All right. And there's a few different divisions. There's an open division. There's a stock division. You have different names for them, but
production optics and open. And this go around, it's only going to be handguns. Next go around, we'll have rifle as well. So yeah, it'll be fun.
Right on.
Shit.
All right.
So, appreciate you guys.
Yes.
Peace.